Good morning and welcome to this Friday's episode of JA's Recipe for Success. As you know, this is brought to you by Junior Achievement of South Florida. I'm your host, Lori Salarulo, and proud to be the president and CEO. This show is all about featuring entrepreneurs and leaders who share the ingredients to their success, not only with our audience, but also with our students who are learning all about entrepreneurship, career skills, career readiness, and financial literacy. And I think we'd all agree that those things are more important today than ever before. This Friday's guest is someone that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years, and I proudly call friend. He's like a brother, and he's a paisan from New York, although he's Jewish, but that's okay. And so I want to introduce to you David Douglas Greenberg, who has over 25 years of leadership and consulting experience, served on the executive board of NYMEX, and so been through 9/11, brings so much experience around crisis management. And so we are going to bring in my friend, David. Good morning.
Good to see you. Good morning.
Good to see you too. First and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm good. I think we're all a bit tired, and that's okay. Tired of being tired, as they said in Blazing Saddles. But you know what? It's like I said, anybody that comes out of this the same that they went into this kind of missed the opportunity of the true change that's taking place all around the world.
Yeah. It's interesting. We had a team meeting yesterday, and one of the questions that I threw out to them was, what are you learning every day?
Sure.
This is going on.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's a new technology, whether it's something you're learning about a teammate, whether it's something you're learning about a teacher or volunteer or a donor, what is it or you're learning, or about yourself? What is it you're learning every day?
Right? And it should be a little bit of each.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, yeah, the days are filled with all of those things, getting to know more about all that.
Absolutely.
So I want to start a little bit. You spent a lot of time in New York, in the markets. And so obviously you have seen a lot of similar type of instances that we're going through today, right? Not the pandemic is different than 9/11 or than a stock market crash or a recession, but similar outcomes, right? Economically
and also emotionally, because, we were there, everything that happened in the world from 9/11 to Katrina to Superstorm Sandy to the Gulf Wars, as but some of your viewers don't. I was a trader on the floor of the oil exchange, and we were the guys that were screaming and yelling and getting spit on all day. Whole nother story. But it immediately affected us per minute. And when you get used to reacting like that, one, you see on an emotional level that things come, go, and they pass. That you can actually work better at a heightened state of the mental ability to think when things are kind of turned up a little bit. But what's different about this is that this is like, those things were like ripping off a band quick, right? You rip it off, painful, the market moves, goes crazy, there's chaos everywhere, and then it kind of subsides. This has just been a slow grind for everything. And the slow grind, I think, is what's really starting to get to a lot of people, and the unknown on the other side. There was unknown on 9/11, Katrina, and everything else, but it was a little bit more compact, so it was a little bit easier to handle, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the other difference too is that, recessions are national, of course, but 9/11 was New York City, right? Well, and also Philly, Washington area, right? So it was contained in certain areas. This is global.
Yeah, no, 9/11, what I learned with 9/11, and I had to get used to this, is that, being there at ground zero and losing as many people as we did, there was like an epicenter. And then as far away of the epicenter that you got, people reacted differently. And obviously the people that were there saw it one way. The people that were at 45th Street saw it a different way. Long Island, Connecticut, California, the rest of the world. Where this is, we're all feeling this the same way.
Right.
We're all being touched. Almost everybody knows somebody that's either had it. I had a family member pass away from it 2 weeks ago. Young guy, greatest guy, 66 years old. So we're all being hit by this on an equal level. And what I'm finding is that where 9/11 put a tremendous amount of humility into the people that were there and realized that, okay, maybe I'm not as wonderful at this and I need to change some things. And it was a slap in the face. I think you're seeing that across the board on here. And, listen, maybe I'm an optimist, but, maybe at the other side of this thing will come out, much different world than we went into it.
It's interesting. I thought so too, because, you see all these things on social media about how this is a time when people are starting to think, right, about balance in their lives, family, sure. That's important, all those things. And yet, it's really interesting because the last few days, as you see cities and counties and states starting to open things up a little, people have gone right back to some of the behaviors. And so they've had to shut things back down again. So it's interesting human behavior.
It is, but I also think it's interesting news behavior as well, because 8,000 people showed up, at a beach in Miami supposedly, but there were also how many millions of people that didn't, right. So it's it's the smaller groups that, are really getting the press, in Michigan, you had a group, and everybody has the right to do protests and everything. I'm not arguing about that, but they focused on that rather than how many millions weren't doing it. It's never the other side. So right. A lot of this side is sensationalized. And there's so much time being given to it. But I think in general, I do see that. But then I see that people call me up and go, do you believe these people? They can't stay 8 feet apart or 6 feet apart. So there's a lot of talk on both sides of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And listen, that's the way it is with everything, right? You're going to have people. Yeah. So your consulting business, and I know that you do a lot of mentoring and coaching and all of that, but one of the things I know you're always I'm so honored that you're on my show. I mean, this is not CNN and CNN. I mean, I can't compare to them, but
no, I don't want to argue with you like I did with all the other hosts.
But I think the one thing that stuck out to me in the work that you're doing today, as a result of some of those things, is crisis management, right? Sure. And how to deal with adversity. And so, from a business perspective, give us one or two things that you're advising your clients, your companies that you're working with on things that they absolutely need to do to get through this.
Yeah, well, the first thing that I spoke to, some of my clients and actually some of the higher heads of government was just simply that you have to stay connected with your people. And what's going to happen is that everybody's going to show a united front, especially in the beginning. The first couple of weeks, the adrenaline's kicking in, so everybody's all in. Okay, and then I explained to them the adrenaline kicks in, and then the fatigue kicks in, and then the disheartenment kicks in. And even the people that are saying to you, "I got this, I'm great, I'm all in," they're hurting inside. They are scared inside. So if you can, once in a while, just take them aside privately and say, "How you doing? How's your family doing?" Connect with them, because what happens in these times, and we saw it during 9/11. And as you know, I work very closely with Vinny Viola, the owner of the Panthers and Virtue and all the other stuff that he's done. And I was on his team, and he ran it like a military operation, but he kept connected with all of us. And that was a great learning experience. So if you can first understand that your team, while showing it, they're all showing that they're all in, there's a lot of stuff going on there. And that most importantly, force them to get some rest once in a while. If you don't have your top team, okay, I mean, there would be times that people, you would just say, go to the hotel, go sleep for 2 hours. You have to stay sharp, because if you don't stay sharp, you start making mistakes. The second thing that I tell them is that get ready to make some mistakes. Okay, we did some great things on getting it up on 9/11. I mean, Vinny was up literally on the roof, ankle deep in oil that was spilling out of the generators. I mean, crazy stuff. But we also made some mistakes, right? And it's okay to realize that when you make the mistake, especially in a crisis situation, not to freak out about it, not to overthink about it, not to dwell on it. Just get your team together and say, okay, we screwed up. Okay, pivot, move, let's go. Because we don't have the time to mess up. Okay, especially when we were going back then. This is a little bit slower moving, but don't beat yourself up. No one's going to bat 1,000 on this coronavirus. It's just not going to happen. And once you get onto that, you can start thinking clearly, efficiently. And then we talk about, obviously about what's, the next thing that you find out is you find out who does step up and who shies away.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking with somebody the other night, huge company, massive company. And he said to me, he goes, "Well, I now know who from my senior staff won't be here next year." Because, a lot of people can tend to, after they get into the swing of things, they can just float. We've all seen them. And then when the crap hits the fan, well, that person doesn't step up or can't step up. Well, this isn't the last time we're going to be going through a crisis management situation. So at some point, this person or these people will be let go.
Yeah.
And, he'll be able to build the team even stronger than it was. This is where the time that people get weeded out a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I have to say, I mean, I talk constantly about our team at Junior Achievement. And I have to say that, they don't quit. I mean, none of them are sitting back. It's constant new ideas, innovation. How can we do this? How can we do that?
Sure.
And so I'm really, really proud that the core team that we have is just so solid and so committed. And I think this is really what it comes down to. I have never seen a team more committed to their why, to the mission.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, I've told you, I've been very lucky with my entire career. I've done some great things. I mean, not great things myself. I'm saying wonderful experiences, let's put it that way. And amazing experiences. But the one that I probably enjoyed the most is my association. And this is no kissing, you know what, it's just true. You've seen me when I walk into your organization, when I'm dealing with the kids or when we're having the events or things like that. Out of all the things that I've ever done, this Junior Achievements has been the most gratifying thing. And, when we're helping these kids with financial literacy, especially at a time now where you're really going to need it. And these are kids that, are underserved and really need the help in this. And what I love about these kids just absorb it all. These kids sitting
like sponges.
Yeah, they're like, oh, tell me more. And that, I remember one time after my speech that I had, I can't believe some kid follows me into the bathroom. And I looked around and I'm like, hi. And he goes, Mr. Greenberg, I just want to tell you, I don't have a father. And I learned more in this last half an hour. And you really touched me. And can I keep in touch with you?
Yeah.
I don't care what good of a trade I've ever had, what good of a deal I've ever had, what I've ever been part of. I walked out of Junior Achievement that day, and there was no better feeling in the world. So thank you for that. So I remember the first day we met.
Listen, you know how I feel about our mission, but I think you're so right. And I think, it's interesting. We're so focused right now, of course, on getting people the help that they need, food, rent assistance, right? Rent assistance and all of those things. And I get that. But at some point, not that far off, I think we're going to be less focused on that and recovery,
sure.
Right? Helping people to get back on the path to stability. And we tend to focus on the adults. And with JA, I think that's where Junior Achievement right now has a critical role, because I think our young people were equally as affected by this, right? Their families are going through these things.
Sure.
They're dealing with adversity. They can't see their friends. I mean, there's so many things.
And I don't think they're getting their due, to be honest with you. I think it's at every age. I mean, my son, who, I've spoken about, and my daughter, my daughter's 28, my son's 25. My son's working for this big Wall Street firm. My daughter's at a law firm, and they were rock and rolling. They're in their 20s. Remember when we were in our 20s?
Right.
They're doing their stuff. They're going out. They're meeting with their friends, and then boom, just shuts down. Okay. And then the high school kids, they were getting ready for their proms and this, boom, shuts down. And I don't think there's been enough given to the children of all different ages. I mean, listen, my kids aren't children, but to me, they're always going to be children. Right. But of all different ages below our age group, of really what this has meant. Okay. There's so much panic about, the elderly, which I think there should be, and people that are, on the cusp. But these younger generation, they're going to need to be brought through this too on a mental step-by-step state about. I mean, literally, the world stopped on its axis. People ask me about this. I'm like, listen, I haven't seen anything like this. This is like crazy on a lot of different levels. But the younger generation, especially the high school generations, and the kids that we deal with that are truly underserved. Well, there are some of the parents that are on the 1,000-car food lines in Fort Lauderdale. I just donated money so they could do a barbecue for an entire neighborhood, and do hamburgers, hot dogs, just to get a couple of meals out. But I think that JA is going to have to be in the position, as you said, going forward, that it's not only going to be financial literacy, it's going to be kind of holding the kids' hands a little bit too, to say, okay, you're going to get through this. We're going to get you through this, and you can lean on us. And it's not all about the financial literacy, but it's just about being there. And I think that's going to be very important, for the younger generation. So for the adults that are listening to this, my crisis management is realizing that your kids are in a crisis too. And we like to say, they're kids, they'll get over it. They're kids that deal with it, or, they're soft. They're not soft. I don't care what we went through in life. Okay, and we went up. There's your morning kiss.
Sorry, my producer has to come on.
Yeah, we love Patrick. There we go. You got your morning kiss.
All right. Thank you, producer. You want to walk from the sidelines over there? Thank you. I love you too, buddy. Say good morning, Mr. Greenberg.
Hello.
All right, go out there and be the producer on the side there. Thank you, Lovey. Go ahead. All right.
What we really need.
It's not a show without Patrick.
Because, listen, Patrick is the star. You're just the co-star. So it's simple.
I know.
It's as simple as that.
I need you to stay over there, though, so I can finish my conversation, okay? Thanks, buddy.
He's great. So, but again, for the people out there, for the adults out there, I don't care what we said. We all went through a lot of stuff. We never went through this. So,
Right.
and I'm not one for it. Listen, like my kids always kid around. I was the toughest but fun father they've ever seen. I mean, I never said anything twice when I said a punishment happened. But on this, there's a lot going on in these kids' mind, and we have to understand it, and that's important for their next step evolution.
So as we, just last thing I want to touch on as we talk about all this is, over the next few weeks, we're going to start to re-enter, right, back into some sort of normal. We saw that the NFL, right, the teams put out their schedules, and it's interesting with nothing about, seats being, further apart and all of that kind of thing. Restaurants are looking at how they're going to reopen with all of these special things. What is the one thing that we need to remember throughout this as we start to begin to re-enter?
Well, what I hear so often is the new normal, and everybody's like, how's the new normal going to be? And what I try to explain to my clients is that we've all been through new normals, and guess what? We've all gotten used to it. I mean, new normal after 9/11 was the TSA and getting the pat downs and everything else. New normal from college was going to work and actually having to be there on time and not just saying to your roommates, hey, I'm going to go out for a drink. New normal was going from single to married, or single to married, married to single. Talk about that. That's another show.
Another whole show.
Right?
You do a series on that one.
Exactly. Or think about it, from when not having a child to the next day having a child. Nobody gave you a rule book, and how to do it. So what I try to explain to everybody is just take a breath about hearing about the new normal and don't let it freak you out. Exactly. We've all been through our own new normals, and guess what? We all manage. We all get there. Will it be different? Yes. And stop comparing about what it was. Maybe what it was wasn't so great. We'll find out. Maybe what it was is that, okay, I like more space. I mean, I would never, I had that accident where I got blind in the right eye. I could only start eating in Manhattan with the tables that were this close to each other because I couldn't see the people in my right. Okay. But you know what? Two-eyed people seeing might like a little bit more space between the tables. So, so understand that while we're going into this new normal, stop yearning for the past, look forward to the future, and realize there's going to be some really interesting stuff that comes out of this. I mean, obviously, we have to think about all the people that we lost and all the people that we suffered and are still suffering and will going to lose and will suffer. But out of everything, something comes out of it, and that's how the world changes, and that's how we change, and that's how we keep moving forward.
Yep, and we evolve, right, as they say. I keep saying my 3 words that I've been using, of course, and I'm sure everybody's used is, you plan, you pivot, and by the way, you plan again.
Yeah, and you pivot again.
And you plan, and then you hopefully at the end of all this, right, like you said, you evolve. So my last question, which of course I asked all of my guests, is what is the main ingredient to your success?
I think the main ingredient that very early on, and it's funny because I talked to when I was lecturing in colleges, I would say to the kids, what are you going to do more than anything else? They're gonna, when you graduate, we're going to work hard and we're going to get married. I'm like, no. I'm going to clean this up for your audience. And I finally said, you're going to screw up more than you ever knew that you could screw up. And the greatest thing about being a trader on the floor when you're trading your own money is that you are in a constant state of screwing up. Because 70% of our trades all day were wrong. And the key was obviously to cut your losses, ride your winners. But what it enabled us to do, and I was one out of 17 traders that were brought down to Quantico because the generals wanted to know how we thought so quickly under that kind of pressure and under messing up so much because they wanted to explain it, to the military. And what we realized is that if you sit on your butt after you screw up and you just get it into your head, you're going to continue to screw up because you're going to make bad decisions. I mean, People laugh at me all the time. I'll screw up. There's something I'm doing this house. Someone's wrong. Bad trade. If you look at your screw ups as just a bad trade and get over it, it opens up your mind on so many different levels. My son was one of the, a very good NCAA lacrosse player. When he was a little kid, when, the ball, he missed the ball and other kids would shrug their shoulders, he would just turn his shoulder and go. My daughter, when she was in 4th grade, her teacher calls me up and she says, "What do you do?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, I said in class today, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose." And your daughter stood up and said, "And sometimes you break even, and that's a really good day." Okay. So I told her as a trader. So my kids from a very early age got used to, if they didn't do well on a test, or if they didn't get into a competition, or if they got their butt kicked in a sport, bad trade. So if people can start looking at their decisions as not this monumental, oh my God, that every decision is heaven and earth, they'll realize when they make a bad decision, as you just said, they can pivot and go. The people that are most light on their feet and light on their mental state, on not beating the crap out of themselves, are the people that can move forward. And if you can't move forward in business, you can't go anywhere in business.
And you know what, by the way, that applies to every part of your life, whether it's business, personal, everything, because we all make bad decisions.
Listen, I used to do that going into the Midtown Tunnel. There are 8 lanes. I always picked the one lane that the car didn't have the token or the money. Okay? And I used to get really pissed. And then after a while, I'm like, bad trade. And once you get to the thing of bad trade, like my friends are really shocked that sometimes, I have a trader's temper. I get crazy, but I go up, like this and down like this in seconds. Because it's like, oh, screw up. Really mad at something. And then, boom, over. And then people are like, well, what do you think? I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to talk about that again. It's over. There's no point.
I love it. That is so key, so key. I love that ingredient. And so, David, I don't know how to thank you for all that you do for Junior Achievement, being on the executive board, our Innovative Initiatives Committee, right? Looking at new ways for JA to create sustainability and all those things. Love the way you think and your loyalty and your mentoring and all of that, not only of the kids, but also of me. And
well,
so
I have to thank you, because this has been so therapeutic for me on so many different ways. Because, one thing that I always say in my classes when teaching the kids and my clients, I'm like, at the end of the day, I watched, I lost 24 people 9/11. I watched the buildings come down. I was down there. And my one question is, what's your legacy? Right. And it's not how much money you make. Okay, it's not the clothes you wear. It's not the car you drive and the house you live in. Your legacy to be remembered. And it's so funny because one of the kids said to me, because I do a lot of, for the younger generation, I don't charge. And then one girl said to me, how can I pay you? I said, when you're 70 and your grandkids said, well, what was an influence in your life? I said, I met this guy years ago, and you know what? He made a difference. So if we can all make a difference, which you're doing to so many lives, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And JA has given me that platform to do it on a much larger scale than I could ever do it on my own. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And to everyone watching, thank you. So many good nuggets and good thoughts and takeaways that came out of this today. And so I hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll see you on Tuesday live at 8:30. Let's get cooking. And thank you, David.
Thank you, Lori.
Have a great weekend.
I plan to.